Hi everyone, it's Mary. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. And I am moving into my very next giveaway. A while back I showcased a bunch of lower price point stamp sets that I would be doing a giveaway with. I will be using one in the video, and then I purchased another one to give away to you all. So we are moving along with Gerda Steiner's designs, and this stamp set is this cute little fuzzy bear. And so what I'm going to be doing is I actually end up making 3 cards with this set, but I'm only going to show the video tutorial for one of them. But I am using some VersaFine ink, my Mini Misty stamp tool, and some clear embossing powder. And what I'm going to do is use I can't think today. You can tell it's nighttime. What am I using? I'm using those awesome new markers I just got, the Zigs. So I like it when it's embossed so that I have almost sort of like a little area to pool the color, and so it doesn't go out. Basically, it helps me. It's cheater code for helping me from going outside the lines. So I'm going to get right into my coloring here. If you don't want to see the coloring, you can go ahead and skip ahead. I'll list where the coloring stops here. So what I do is I'm really just still learning with these markers, but I find that using one color actually gets me the blending that I desire. So whereas if I'm using alcohol markers, I want to use multiple colors because I want to blend them into one another to either fade out or show shading, etc. But with these markers, I find that I just have to use one. So as you can see, I'm putting the marker down where I would see the shading, and then I take my paintbrush and I'm dipping it in water, and then I'm just moving that color around. Now I am using Bristol Smooth cardstock, which is amazing for these markers. It just really moves those colors around so beautifully. And I'm finding that that is working. I think I would really like to use these markers with even a bigger surface to work on, because sometimes these images are really tiny, and these markers, a little goes a very long way. So just keep that in mind. But I really don't have any other tips for these markers except to dive into them and start using them and practice, just like you would with any other medium that you have. But I really, truly love these markers. They're really good. Okay, I think I've made my point on that one. So I am using oatmeal color here, and I thought that that was going to be a good color for our little bear. Now in the 3 cards that you're going to see at the end, I use different colors for the bears. So all 3 bears are very different. But just play with the colors and see which ones that you like that come out. So I've added some red to the bow, and then I'm using this really pretty blue for the coffee cup. And I do believe I've made the coffee cup dark coffee, even though I like a lot of cream. I don't like a lot of cream in my coffee, but it has to be a certain color. It's the strangest thing. It's a mental thing. Because if I think it's that color and I was blindfolded, I'd be like, yeah, this tastes great. Anyway, okay, so I'm done, and I fussy cut my little bear out. Now I'm taking to a piece of Canson XL watercolor paper, and I've taken out one of this very light blue marker, and I am just fading that in. I don't want anything too stark. I didn't want stark white. I didn't want it to be too dark, and so I just really wanted a very light color. I'm going to heat set that with my Wagner heat tool, and I'm going to try to link these for you, these dies, but they were in my stash for a long time, and I'm finally using them, and I think they're absolutely so fun. They're Christmas trees or evergreen trees, and I'm going to make them into Christmas trees as the season goes on. And I've just added some distress ink to that, so you can kind of see a little bit of dimension there. Now I've taken Lawn Fawn rectangle stitched dies, and I've made a frame here over my cardstock, over my watercolor paper. And I'm also going to take another piece of paper, Nina Solar White, 80 pound, and I'm going to make a hillside. So I'm just going through the gamut of papers here in this tutorial. I've taken out my embossing buddy to anti-static, make sure there's no extra powder, and now wait for the throwback, Wishing Cheer from Stampin' Up. This is like circa 2007 maybe. Absolutely love this little snowflake stamp though, because no matter how you place it down, it's not uniform. What am I trying to say? It's like all over the place, which is good. That's what you want for snow. And so I'm going to use some silver embossing powder for that, and that's going to be the background. And that's how I got those snowflakes. So I encourage you, look in your stash, because I bet you there's some stuff you haven't seen in a very long time. And you should pull those bad boys out and get to use. All right, so I am now putting down my hillside behind the frame. The frame is going to be the very last thing I put on top. And then I'm placing down all my trees with some Tombow Mono liquid adhesive. And because this is pretty thick cardstock, I pulled this cardstock out of my ginormous stack of scraps that I just had to keep. And I have literally not opened for like 3 years. But I had to keep it. So now I'm actually forcing myself. Laura Basson has inspired me to get into my scraps. If you haven't seen her videos, she talks about it. So I'm placing down my trees, just trying to put them a little bit so they go together. And I have all 3 sizes here. And I'm going to use something heavy to place that down so it holds it. I used some 3M foam mounting tape for my little bear. And he's popping up off the page. And then I'm going to place down my rectangle frame with some more 3M foam mounting tape. And I had to cut that in half because it was a little too thick. So I placed that down. Now I was staring at this card for the longest time because I thought, I just don't think, when I started putting it together, I was like, it's just too plain. There's something about it that's just too plain. Maybe that's because I am one of those people who need work on clean and simple and the leave well enough alone. And I have a problem there. I know I do. Self-ID. But I still thought it was just too plain. Okay, you could tell me what you think, if you liked it before or after the last thing I added. So here I have sort of split up that stamp sentiment because I wanted to go across the bottom. And it says, just sending you warm fuzzies, some warm fuzzies. And then I like to stand my cards up when I'm placing them if they're exactly the same size. And that helps me line up a whole lot better. So I used some strong score tape on the back of that just to kind of flatten it out. Now here's where I add the Wink Estella in silver. And I go around the entire frame with the silver. Now, because I used VersaFine ink on the bottom, lucky for me, because I was not planned for this purpose, but it's waterproof, and so it didn't smudge. So there's the finished card. I thought that silver really kind of framed out the snowflakes a little bit more. But that's the finished card there. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit. I put some Spectrum Noir on the trees, by the way, to add a little bit of shimmer to the trees. So the next card I did here, my little bear was white, and my daughter came up and said, "Oh, I like that polar bear." And why, yes, I suppose it is a polar bear. And so I made a night sky. I used some glitter cardstock to frame this one. I used Distress Oxides for the coloring, and then the water droplet technique for the background. I also used the silver glitter paper, and I had a little heart die that I cut out some hearts for some embellishments as well. I think this one might be my favorite just because I really, really love those colors. But here what I did was I framed a circle, and I made it sort of like an ornament. And so I had some pattern paper from my stash that was absolutely gorgeous. As you can see, it's like starry kind of paper. And then I just framed out a tree and my new bear. And then at the very top of it, I put a line to signify that it was an ornament. And that will finish off the cards. I'm so glad you joined me. Okay, so let's talk about the giveaway real quick. So for the giveaway, we're going to talk about your favorite time of year. My favorite time of year is from October to January because I love all things holiday season. I'm the youngest of 8 kids, and we had a gazillion things to do during those 3 months, and I think it brings that back such a joyful, nostalgic experience for me every single year. So I would love to hear from you and talk to us about what your favorite time of year is and why. And I will leave the giveaway opened until Thursday the 26th at 11:59 p.m. That's October. And then I will pick a winner at random. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and you can find me in other forums below. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.